I want to thank God for the opportunity to be here amongst you all. Thanks to the Prime Minister and the Speaker to allow me to be the chaplain of the House. Amen. And I want to say this to the newly elected members of Parliament, even the old ones. In Matthew chapter 11, it talks about the poor. The Bible said you'll have the poor always with you. And I want to say to you all, don't forget the poor people that elect you to the House. They'll be with you always. Don't forget the old grandma and the old grandpa that walk and vote for you all. Don't forget the people that elect you, and humble yourself. The Bible said a humble child will always taste the grace of God. Humble yourself, and whatever move you make in this house, put God first, and you cannot go wrong, because it's a new day, new beginning. Amen? Amen. Bow your heads with me, let us pray. Lock your chin on your chest. Father God, in the name of Jesus, God, we thank you for this day, this Thursday, a day that we never see before. We might see a Thursday before, but we never see this one. God, we thank you, God, that you being so good to us, God, better than we being to ourselves. We thank you, God, for our Prime Minister, the opposition, every members of Parliament, God. God, we ask you, God, that intervene upon them. God, cover them under your blood, God. God, I decree and I declare, God, great things for this Commonwealth of Bahamas, God. Oh, God, we just give you the praise and we give you the glory, God, because we know that everything you do is well done. Oh, what a fellowship, what a joy divine, leaning on the everlasting arms. God, we know if we lean on your arms, God, we cannot fail, God. You said, trust not, but lean on thee. God, we thank you right now, God. Breathe fresh upon this house. Breathe a fresh wind, God. I cover them in the name of the Father, in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Ghost. Let everybody say, and thou hast taught us to say, children,
Our Father, who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom,
power and the glory.
forever and ever. Amen. May the peace of God be with you.
Honorable members, when the business of this House was suspended on Wednesday, we were debating the resolution thanking the Governor General for his speech at the opening of Parliament. I presume we are ready to continue. As many, the Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Fox Hill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And thank you, Madam Speaker. And let me start off by congratulating you on your appointment and election to this job. I want to start off also by congratulating two new priests of the Anglican Church, Reverend Father Christopher Higgs and Reverend Allison Dean. One is male, the other is female. And they were ordained on Monday evening at Christ Church Cathedral by the Lord Bishop Lache Boyd. Chris Higgs has a very interesting history, and he's made remarkable progress in the ministry to where he is today, having come from a background where his mother and his grandmother were both killed as a result of homicides, and his father was also died in tragic circumstances in prison, accused of the death of the mother. And so to see this remarkable progress by this young man, who now has his own family, I think it deserves praise and honor for his having accomplished what he has accomplished. And similarly, Allison Dean, who is female, women have had a difficult time in the established religions. The Anglican Church just allowed women, I think, when Angela Palacios became the first female to be ordained. And it was a very difficult fight. And I'm always very sympathetic to these situations where people, you're born female, you can do nothing about that. And there's prejudice exercised against you because of the fact of your birth, something you have nothing to do with. But you have the intellect, you have the mind, the power, the ability, the strength to do it. And that's the fight that women have had throughout my lifetime. And the women's movement has been very successful in leading women in the leadership in our country, to the extent today that every institution in our country today is run by women, and they occupy the top levels of jobs everywhere, with the possible exception of politics. This is like the last frontier. And so we're really pleased to note the fact that there are now 7 women from our side. There were none from the opposition side, but they, of course, elected the first woman, Janet Bostwick. But Allison Dean is one of the female Anglican priests. And I know her father, Henry, quite well. He's my very good friend, United Sanitation. And I know they were very proud to see Allison accomplish this. Her grandfather and great-grandfather were both organists at St. Agnes, and she too plays the organ. And I believe she's stationed now at St. Luke's in South Eleuthera, and including the parish in Greencastle. So I wanted to congratulate her at the start, but to also say more generally the support which the Progressive Liberal Party has for women. And I mentioned the fact that you are elected to this post. And I want to recall my conversations with you when we were in the throes of the campaign. And there was an event which happened, and as it stands, the propagandists went to work. And I said to you at that time, don't look left, don't look right. Just keep moving forward. Half the game in politics is simply to survive. And the best thing to do is just get your feet out of bed in the morning, put them on the ground, and go one step forward until nighttime. And now we see what we see. You're here. And I'm proud to say I'm proud of that. In this connection, I want to also honor the newly ambassador designate for CARICOM, the Member of Parliament for Sea Breeze, and of course the Minister of Transport, both of whom kindly invited me to join them in the UK last week to lobby for the Bahamian seat on the IMO Council, Category C. Bahamas has been on the Council since 1999, and this is the rule-making body for international maritime traffic. And so this is our, umpteenth attempt at trying to get back on the Council. It's important for our shipping industry that we're there. And I was very pleased to join them what I think will be a successful election, which takes place, I believe, in December. And in my role as Minister of Foreign Affairs, I was present to speak with Patricia Scotland. Baroness Scotland is her formal name. She's the Secretary General of the Commonwealth. And we're involved in the Bahamas is involved in a very intense effort to ensure her re-election as Secretary General of the Commonwealth. And this comes back to my point about prejudice again. It's being denied all around that misogyny has anything to do with the opposition to her renewing her term. But when you think that all of the Secretaries General of the Commonwealth have been men up to her time, and all of them have had 2 terms, with little fight about whether or not they should have another term. But all of a sudden, there's a problem now. this excuse is being offered, the next excuse is being offered, all of which, from the Bahamas point of view, from an objective point of view, does not stand up. So we're saying that, like her predecessors, she should have a second term. And we are supporting her in that second term, and I wish to speak up for that. This is a bipartisan approach because the previous administration also supported her term, and I was grateful at that time that they did. Madam Speaker, yesterday, the member for Long Island spoke, and I was trying to think back to the first time I went to Long Island, which was about 1977 or so. I became the PLP's National General Council member for South Long Island, and in 1977, following the 1977 general election. And there were then two seats, Clarence Town, which was South Long Island, south of Thompson Bay, and North Long Island, Rumkey and San Salvador. And so I have many friends in Long Island. And Long Island, my recollection is from the studies that were done during our administration, during the Christie years from 2012 to 2017, there was a survey done, I believe, in 2016. And it turns out that the poorest community in the country was then named as Dunmore's Long Island, which is a settlement on top of a hill to the south of Clarence Town in Long Island. And still today, there is a lot of social support which is needed for Dunmore's. And so when I heard the Member of Parliament speaking, I wondered to myself, and I said when I went down there during the campaign, I couldn't understand why people continue in Long Island to vote for the side opposite. I told them the last time they won 35-4 the last time. And I told them at a PLP meeting down in Long Island, I said, now look, these people have all the power they could ever want. So tell them, don't come with any excuses now about what you're going to deliver for Long Island. This is your time now. And if you want that airport, they better get that airport for you. Don't come with any excuses, because if they don't deliver the airport, it's the PLP that's going to have to deliver the airport for you. Anyway, in their wisdom, the majority still voted for the other side. And the airport is still not in Deadman's Key. And they need the airport. For Long Island to grow, they need the airport. Dunmore's needs the social support because the people there are mired in poverty. South Long Island is an economic graveyard. I remember having a conversation with some constituents down there, and he was lamenting the fact we had just lost the election, and he was asking me, what are you all going to do to help the economy down in South Long Island? And he told me the story of his 3 children. His first daughter, a 4.0 student in school in Long Island, goes off to school to Canada, not coming back. Second daughter, also 4.0 student, going off to school in Canada, not coming back. He says, now here's my son. My son's got a 3.9 average. I got this business here in Long Island, and I'm saying to myself, what am I doing this for? Is he going to come back? And I say that because what concerns me about what's happening in the Bahamas now is that we, meaning the present administration, seem to have inherited a deep, deep dissatisfaction with people's lives, their jobs, their status, their satisfaction with the country. It is deeply disturbing. And it just seems to me as a member of Parliament that if I can do anything to reverse this view that the Bahamas is not a place for the future, because I've said this to many of my friends, it never occurred to me at all when I was a student in the U.S. in 1970 about living in the States. Why would I want to live in the States? To do what? I mean, they got too many rules. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the next thing. Why the heck I want to live over there? I mean, nice place to go visit. I mean, I like New York and all the rest of it, but, I got to come home. So the question is, what is it we can do to turn that around? There was a survey done when I was a student in the UK in 1983. Brits were asked if they had, what kind of confidence did they have in their country? And the survey was taken, 52% of the people said if they had the chance to emigrate, they would. People had lost confidence in their country. And I don't want that to be the legacy for this country. So this speech from the throne and all of the objectives which we have to be to tell the younger people or to teach the younger people, this is a place to stay. And this is a place which has a future. And this is a place where you can put your stake down and have a successful life. And we have to turn the time, because just that story from Long Island and the other stories that you hear, where this small country and its taxes are actually paying for the progress of developed countries. I mean, those people and those children in Long Island got a public school education from the time they were small till the time they went to university, and may have gotten scholarships from the Bahamas government and ended up choosing to live in another society. We must do everything we can to reverse that. And so that is, it seems to me, job one. I want to also take this opportunity to congratulate the Prime Minister on his statement at the Conference of Parties, meeting number 26 in Glasgow, Scotland. It's an excellent statement, goes without saying. Well-crafted and made the point succinctly that climate change is real. Hurricane Dorian is one example, and that developed states must do more than simply talk, because this is existential for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. 80% of the land of the Bahamas is within 3 meters of the sea. And so if you have sea level rise, that means if nothing is done, we're told by the end of the century, there is going to be no Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And you heard the Prime Minister say, if we're lucky, we can be refugees. In fact, one state in the Pacific, and I may have to end up living in the States anyway if I'm around, but one state in the Pacific has actually negotiated with New Zealand to move their whole population to New Zealand because the land is simply disappearing. And those are the practical facts which we face. So one of the things I'm also happy about from the foreign affairs point of view is that the U.S. is back. What we saw during the pandemic is that the absence of U.S. leadership in the world does not organize itself. There is no other country. And, you know, there was a time when you had the Pax Romana, and then you had the Pax Britannica, and now you have the Pax Americana, which has existed since the Second World War, where there is some supervening power that has the moral and the military authority to move the world behind specific objectives. We happen to be right next to them, joined by the hip in geography. Philosophically, we are, and ideologically with them. From a foreign affairs point of view, we have similar interests, although not the same interests, because we're a small state. Arthur Hanna, the late Arthur Hanna, the former Governor General, the national hero, said to the South Korean ambassador when he came to present his credentials that the Bahamas and South Korea have similar or the same, in that we are both nestled next to giants, and we're only as independent as the giants allow. But within that space, there's room for us to have relationships with other people. And therefore, we have relations with China, but we are not in any geopolitical fight between these two giants. And both states recognize that fact. There is much to be gained by having good relations with every country. And our foreign affairs is largely run through CARICOM. We try to coordinate foreign policy, so our ambassador, the new ambassador designate, will be responsible for the day-to-day running of those relationships. So I don't want, from my point of view, the country to think that we're in some battle between China and the United States. We're not part of that. We're out of that. What we know is they each have their interests. The Bahamas has its interests, which I've described as similar, although and not the same as the United States, but similar. So that should be clear. I want to express condolences to the family of the late Colin Powell, and who's going to be buried in Washington on Saturday. Mr. Powell and I worked for a short time as foreign ministers during the second time I was foreign minister, and the issues in and around, or it may have been the first, the issues in and around Aristide in Haiti. And so I got to work with him during that time. In fact, when Aristide was overthrown, he was the Secretary of State at the time and had called me at home to say that Mr. Aristide had in fact been overthrown. He was a good example of what immigration can do to another country. His family came from Jamaica. They're very proud of his success, and we as the CARICOM countries are proud of his success, and may he rest in peace. In terms of our relationships, though, there's one thing I want to mention, and I always mention this publicly. I will do so at a meeting I'm having with the U.S. in a short while, and that is the Bahamians and their ability to travel to the United States. Now, most Bahamians think that not being able to travel to the United States is a death sentence. Yeah. It is not. It is not. It's their country. It's not our country. And their law gives the consular officer the subjective right. It's not an objective right, so there's no way you can argue it. The subjective right to reject or accept anyone who wants to get a visa to the United States. In fact, Clevenius was the first one, the late Dr. Clevenius was the first one who told me this, that he, the definition of a Bahamian is someone who believes they have the inalienable right to fly to Miami. So, but that's how people think of it. And so as foreign minister, as soon as I got the job back, the telephone calls are ringing about people wanting to get, who had been turned down for visas going to the States. And I tried to deal with this with many ambassadors. The difficulty is ambassadors can't instruct consular officers what to do. The consular officer has the absolute right to make the decision. And as I said, the decision is subjective. Notwithstanding that, though, I am concerned about the continuing stories that people come and tell me which do not seem to be based in any objective criteria why a particular Bahamian cannot get access to going to the States. And so it's a thing which I want to raise publicly because it needs to be sensitized that we are two countries close together. Americans have the right to come to this country without any visa or process. And I think that there should be an equivalency of the right of access for Bahamians. So I want to make that public. I in fact said that my view is that that there should be no visa to go to the States. You just go to the States. And I've told their authorities on several times that if the entire population of the Bahamas, the 400,000 of us, moved to the States, there wouldn't even be a blip on the screen. Wouldn't make any difference whatsoever. Anyway, that's my point there. I'm also the public service minister, and I've been deluged. The Minister of State has spoken about this, about promotions. For the life of me, we can't understand why classes were recruited in 2014, 2015, 16, and 17, and none of them were processed until just this summer. They began the processing. Now, the Public Service Commission is responsible for processing promotions, transfers, and the like, not the Ministry of Public Service and not the Immigration Ministry. So I say that only by way of caution because everyone calls the Public Service Minister and says, I've not been promoted, I've not been transferred, you need to fix it. You know, no issue. But we try to make sure that everybody is processed and dealt with fairly. And there's some very complicated issues about this. For example, and I thought when I was Public Service Minister the first time I'd actually solved this problem, where you have people who have been de facto in a job for a long time, 10, 15 years, And when it comes time to be promoted, they say, oh, you only have one BGCSE, so you can't get promoted. Mind you, they're doing the job, they've been in the rank, and so on and so forth. So the question is, how do you tell somebody who's been on a job 20 years, they got to go back to school to get one English BGCSE when they've been doing the job? So I thought we had put in place, certainly for the prison, an alternative to using years of service as an equivalent to academic qualifications. So we're trying to work on that to try and fix that. So I'm just trying to say to people, look, we can't resolve this problem in the 6 weeks that we've been in office, but they are processing the promotions. The Public Service Commission is simply swamped and overwhelmed and needs a lot of support, it needs a lot more personnel, and it needs space to get the work done. But be assured that as long as I'm there, as long as they'll have me, I'm gonna try and be fair to everybody and get this moved along as quickly as possible. Now, there's a provision in the portfolio allocations, which say that I am supposed to be responsible for parliamentary affairs, as in contradistinction to leader of government business in the House. Now, that's done because what we want to do is a couple of things. We want a new Parliament building. I've been tasked with putting a new Foreign Affairs building and to put in place new rules so that in cooperation with the other side, so that this place can run more efficiently. It's just, I say to myself, these buildings have been occupied since 1815. They came here at a time when the wealth of the society had increased because of the Loyalists after the Revolution in the United States. And these buildings were emblematic of that period in our society. We've been independent now almost 50 years. In 2 years we'll be independent. And we haven't put our imprint on the country with anything which says, this is us and this represents us. And the building is clearly inadequate. It's clearly inadequate. I mean, you can't have rats running around when you go into the Senate. You know, rats running across your feet. There's an awful smell in the, it's just awful. And then members of Parliament don't even have control over their own budget. That seems to me ludicrous. So, Madam Speaker, we want to move in the direction of making sure that that is established properly, that there are three branches of government: the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. And so there needs to be a new building. I want to get it done in 3 years, turnkey. So before you go, you all should be in a new building. Now, you know, I am aspirational, you know, and I've seen how the Middle East societies operate. You got to set a goal, otherwise you're not going to get there. You'll never get there. Right. And the other thing is, which is important, is, and you'll soon be coming subject to the Cabinet's approval, is to look at this question of the privileges, immunities, and support services that members of Parliament get. I'll tell you the story of Sir Gerald Cash, who was Governor General for 10 years. And after he had demitted office as Governor General, one day I walked into the Treasury, which is then over the Adley building, which has now been taken down. So I walk into the Adley building and I see a man who looks like Gerald Cash standing up on the line. So I walked up to him and I said, Sir Gerald, what are you doing here? Oh, he says, they told me I have to come and verify that I'm alive or something. And so that's the only way they'll continue to give me my pension as Governor General. And I thought to myself, but this is ludicrous, you know? So what I'm saying is the House should have a division of its support services which deal with all the things for members of Parliament and for those who are former members of Parliament and those who are public officials. And yeah, I mean, it's, you know, you can't, this is an important job to get. I mean, look at, you know, I listened to all the speeches of those persons who are new to the place and the pride with which they spoke about being here for the first. This is like some people only get to see this on TV. They never get here. They never imagine that they'd get here. And, you know, we are like 0.00 something percent of the population that get to be a senator or a member of Parliament, and then you've done the job. That isn't right. It just doesn't work. So I hope with that we can, with your support, that we can get that done. Now, Mia Mottley, who's the Prime Minister of Barbados, is the flavor du jour of the Caribbean. Very popular among the women. And justifiably so. And we hope that, I was telling her, known her for a long time, telling her that we need to invite her here for a state visit, you know, bells and whistles. I'm sure all the women would be great. But she made a statement recently about the banks. And I sent her a note asking her if she has model legislation, because this has been, when I was in the Senate the last 5 years, has been a whipping horse of mine. You know, the services delivered by the banking system in this country are simply atrocious. And the fees they're charging now, the other day, my sister rarely checks my parents' post office box, but they're sending I got a bank account, it turns out, that I had no idea I had. I forgot. It was going to my parents' bank account. So she gives me this thing, and it's got $646 on it that I didn't know I had. And but when I open the statement up, every month they taking out $7. This is theft. That's theft. It's grand larceny, appropriating property belonging to another with the permanent intention to deprive. That's what that is. Yeah.
You may have started out with $1 million on that.
Perhaps. You know, I forget things like that. But I'm saying, you know, something got to be wrong with that. They're now giving you no percent on your fees, so they're taking your money every week, and you can only but they've not changed the interest rates which they put on the loans that they're lending out. So again, something has to be wrong with this, and I think it's time now for Parliament to intervene in some way. So I hope that she's able to provide the model legislation, because I'm not sure how you actually deal with it, because you get the impression that the Canadian banks have made it their minds that they don't give a heck about what's going on down here, and the sooner they can bail out, the better. That's the way you get the impression. And I don't quite understand why Bahamians have not been able to get into owning the banking system. So maybe that's a story for another time. But that, yes, well, you have two banks, right? Fidelity, and you have, and the credit union system, which is assisting. But many communities, as a result of these changes, have been left unbanked. And that we need to do something about. Okay, so it's coming near the end. I just want to speak up for those people in Millers and McCann's who they jumped over. They ain't getting no water. The member of Parliament for Long Island needs to get up and defend why that is, that they're not getting water. We believe it's because they were PLP voters, and so you'll just decide to jump over them. But you'll tell me otherwise, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much.
The chair recognizes the honourable member from Marco City.
Thank you very much, member for Fox Hill. Just wanted to, I understand that you may be traveling, and I would have wanted to talk to you on the break, but this would be a good time. In Grand Bahama, there are 17 persons who are part of the 52-week program who were asked to go home a week after election. Just wondering whether or not you're aware of it and whether or not we might be able to resolve that matter. It is the usual. I think it was a minute and 17 seconds. It has been the usual practice under both administrations that when somebody leaves that particular program, they just simply replace. So there were 17 persons who were expected to continue employment. So I'm just wondering if that's a matter we'd be able to resolve. This is the 50-week program. They would have been scattered, no doubt, throughout different agencies.
You know, best my recollection is many people were, as they came to the end of their contracts, they had to take their leave. And so that was indicated. I'd really have to examine the specific cases and before I can give you a sensible answer on it. But our policy has never been to trouble people who are in minimum wage jobs. That's our view. Hope that satisfies. But I was talking about the people in Millers and McCann's, and they ain't getting no water. And because they were PLP, they ain't getting no water. Last thing is, I want to tell you, the community center in Fox Hill is now back up and running. You You can swim in the pool. And if you join me on Saturday, you might see me do the backstroke. Anyway, thank you to the people of Fox Hill for their support and this re-election. And next week, when we do the debate on the budget, I have a lot more to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Asmini? The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Elizabeth.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just bear with me. Okay. Thank you. Madam Speaker, I'm honored to rise in this honorable chamber on behalf of the wonderful people of Elizabeth. As a proud believer and the daughter of a pastor, I wish to give thanks to God for his grace and mercy towards me and for always ordering my steps. I also wish to thank my family, most especially my husband, Donovan Davis Jr., my daughter, Bethany Davis, my parents, Wade and Irma Colby, my sisters, and my in-laws for supporting me on this journey in service to our nation. I'm thankful to the Prime Minister and leader of the Progressive Liberal Party, the Honorable Philip Davis, for appointing me to the Cabinet as Minister of Transport and Housing, and to the PLP for selecting me to represent the party in a constituency that is very near to my heart. I also wish to thank my political campaign, Team Colby Davis, and volunteers for their unwavering commitment and dedication in securing our victory at the polls. Madam Speaker, I am deeply grateful to the good people of Elizabeth constituency for affording me the opportunity to serve as their MP. I solemnly promise to advance their best interests. While I might refer to the residents of Elizabeth as constituents, in my heart, we are family. Over the past 3 years, my family in Elizabeth have welcomed me into their homes and their hearts. I've listened, talked, shared, and cried. In Elizabeth, we share a very deep and personal connection. For everything that I achieve as a representative and cabinet member, I stand on the shoulders of my proud and hardworking family in Elizabeth. Madam Speaker, one of the greatest lessons I've learned on my journey to this honorable chamber is that our people want to be heard. For everything that our people want to feel and know that the bills we bring to this honorable place seek to change their circumstances for the better. Former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher once stated, and I quote, "The heart of politics and public policy is people." The bills we seek to advance in this chamber must empower and uplift our people, not just a few, but all of our people. Our agenda moving forward must involve 3 important national specifics: recovering, rebuilding, and revolutionizing. Madam Speaker, I want to extend congratulations on your elevation to the high office of Speaker. History records that you are the 55th Speaker in our House of Assembly and only the 2nd woman to hold this office. I am certain you will serve with fairness, transparency, and integrity. Our young girls and women will now aspire to be Speaker of the House of Assembly because of cracks placed in the glass ceiling and the path blazed by yourself and our first female Speaker, the Honorable Italia Johnson. As one of the youngest women appointed to cabinet, I hope to be an aspiration and inspiration to young girls, just like the many trailblazing women who inspired me along my journey. To all young Bahamians listening today, know that there is no limit to your dreams. Madam Speaker, as I commence my contribution, I want to note that our Governor General, His Excellency Cornelius Smith, is a distinguished Bahamian, Having served in this honorable chamber, as well as in the cabinet, the nation-building contributions of His Excellency should not be forgotten. I join with my honorable colleagues in sincerely thanking His Excellency for his stellar delivery of the speech from the throne and for his genuine hospitality and advice during my swearing-in as minister. Madam Speaker, the Progressive Liberal Party campaigned on the premise of a new day. Bahamians voted in support of the PLP, rejecting the lackluster policies of the previous administration and ensuring that the new day would become a reality. For the first time in our nation's history, both the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister represent Family Island constituencies. In Grand Bahama, having lost all seats in 2017 general election, the PLP picked up 2 seats. In Eleuthera, Andros, and Abaco, voters awarded all parliamentary seats to the PLP. In New Providence, the PLP went from having 1 seat to now holding 21 seats, a significant reversal of fortune. You can even call it a wave. As a government, we on this side must therefore embrace and remember the message of change that voters have sent in the general elections of 2021 and commit ourselves daily, colleagues, to bringing that change about in a real way for our people. Madam Speaker, all Bahamians want an effective and responsive government. All Bahamians want to see people-driven and transformative public policies. As a government, we must and we will deliver for all Bahamians. We on this side must never take for granted the mandate given to our party by the Bahamian people. On September 16, 2021, we saw the near-complete wipeout of the former F&M cabinet because of ineffective and confusing public policies, but also because of blatant arrogance, conflicting policies, and questionable actions. As a government, we in the PLP must never become like the F&M government of 2017, a government that many say lost their way and was out of touch with the experiences of the Bahamian people. As a government, we must and we will remain humble and open to criticism. Madam Speaker, while I am mindful of the expectations for the PLP government, I also wish to ask Bahamians to have a little patience as we seek to move this country forward. There's an old saying that says Rome was not built in a day. Likewise, significant national change will not come overnight. It is a process. In this PLP Davis administration, we understand the urgency required to address the COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting economic fallout. Bahamians can be assured that this PLP government is working to enact policies and bring about change that will address the immediate concerns and bring relief to those who need it most. Madam Speaker, as stated earlier, I am proud to serve as MP for Elizabeth. Almost 2 months ago, voters requested a new direction. I want the people of Elizabeth to know that our doors are open to everyone. We are here to serve. The Elizabeth constituency office is located Fox Hill Road near Final Hour Church and is open Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays at 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Our team has already commenced action on our commitments and key pledges to constituents. Our cleanup campaign has already started with the removal of derelict vehicles and other debris in the Trinidad Avenue area. On November 5th, 2021, our team will remove garbage and other debris from the Hannah Road area. Our campaign will be expanded to other areas of the constituency in short order. Canvassing of residents in Fleming Avenue, Seagull Gardens, with respect to the building of a basketball court on the park has been completed, with most households confirming their desire for the court. I will provide a further update to the neighborhood in short order. Fogging has commenced in the areas of Hannah Road, Lumumba Lane, and some areas of Yamacraw Beach Drive. Expansion to other areas will commence shortly. In response to feedback from constituents, our team has developed a no-drop initiative where potholes on roads through Elizabeth are identified and repaired. This initiative will launch on November 5th, 2021. As daylight saving time will end on November 7, 2021, we encourage residents to contact our office at 242-603-0428 or via WhatsApp at 242-535-4999 to report any streetlight outages. I am pleased to report that Operation Let's Get Busy Lizzie and Let's Make a Difference is in full effect. Madam Speaker, I want to acknowledge the hardworking team at the Ministry of Transport and Housing for their commitment to delivering services to our citizens. I wish to publicly thank the Permanent Secretary and various team leaders of the units and agencies that comprise the Ministry of Transport and Housing for their cooperation and professionalism extended thus far. I look forward to working with each team member at the Ministry of Transport and Housing as we seek to advance the interests of Bahamian people. As outlined in the speech from the throne and in our blueprint for change, the Davis administration is hard at work to bring about the major changes that are needed in this country. Our goal is to build a better Bahamas for everyone through competent, compassionate leadership. Madam Speaker, there's been a lot of chatter about the Prospect Ridge housing development lately. It seems some may have taken offense to my statements on the matter. I would like to set the record clear in relation to this development. Critical steps like a feasibility study, a topography study, and development of a master plan were not done at all. In fact, I wish to table the response to the EIA report from the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, also known as the DEPP. However, before tabling, I want to read a few of the 49 points, just to give you, my listening audience, an idea of what was missing from such an important report related to the advancement of this Prospect Ridge development. Point 3, under section 6.3, climate change. The document does not provide any recommendations or observations specific to the property and its intended use. Please advise how the proposed impacts will affect the development in light of the associated influences of climate change. Point 7. It is also noted that the proposed site sits in a valley along the north side of Prospect Ridge. However, the document does not provide any information related to flood potential or flood control in relation to the present site, the potential disturbance and resultant impacts to the surrounding properties. Point 13, what are the actual length of the trenches and how much of the area is actually covered by open trenches and standing bodies of water? Point 33, a key component of an EIA is that the document would identify the present environmental benefits prior to the proposed changes. This document is devoid of any information in that regard. What are its present contributions of habitat, flood control, etc.? Point 45, how is the site to be developed given that septic systems is not appropriate for this site and the build out is to be market driven? Point 48, in conclusion, this document cannot be approved in its present submission. Madam Speaker, I came armed with the facts because I understand the barriers in society which presently restricts many Bahamians from becoming homeowners. Therefore, it was important for me to be clear in my submissions that the Prospect Ridge development was, in my assessment, an election ploy, which ignored proper protocol and procedures to advance a new subdivision. I'm not here today to debate anybody's big dreams or intention to do something in the distant future. These are the indisputable facts. Anything else is just conjecture. The Committee for Development of Young Professionals worked on preliminary plans, and I take no issue with the work they did. However, it must be said that the Prospect Ridge development seemed a long way from being fully fleshed out as a housing solution for young Bahamian professionals. It was in the very, very preliminary stages. That's it, and that's all. There's nothing here to debate. Despite it all, My ministry is presently searching several land options that are ready for immediate construction, and soon Bahamians, all Bahamians, will be able to choose from a cross-section of the island, east, west, north, and south, as well as the family islands, to become first-time homeowners. Madam Speaker, I wish to make it clear to the residents of Abaco and Grand Bahama that this Davis administration will ensure focus and attention is placed on rebuilding homes and helping you to rebuild your lives. While I intend to provide housing across the family islands, I think it's important to single out Abaco and Grand Bahama because they have been suffering for far too long following the disaster of Hurricane Dorian. A further update will be provided when we finalize our plans surrounding present subdivisions and other suggested areas being proposed by my technical team. But I must say that I have already committed to the MP and the Minister for Grand Bahama, who is smiling and winking at me, and I've committed to the MPs in Abaco that I will be making a trip over there in Luther. Yes, I have made my commitment. I will be making my trips so that we can get the work started. We're also working towards the development of the Carmichael Village subdivision and are actively on the needed road construction, as well as water distribution, electrical supply, sewage collection, and telephone and cable distribution systems. This is all of the essential infrastructure that must be placed to create a viable community. As you can see, I'm not overly interested in talking about problems. I'm here to drive the solutions and bring about substantive progress for the Bahamian people. Madam Speaker, in our Blueprint for Change, the Davis administration speaks of our commitment to the basic right of housing and our objective of increasing access to affordable homes through the development of low-cost homes, as well as the potential launch of a rent-to-own program. We all know that there are thousands of Bahamians who are turned down by banks for various reasons. Many Bahamians are simply unable to secure mortgages. Those people will be happy to learn that this government is currently exploring avenues for a rent-to-own initiative that will allow Bahamians to make a small deposit, which will be a part of the purchasing price, along with monthly payments, to allow people who cannot get a traditional mortgage to have access to home ownership opportunities. Of course, they will still have to demonstrate the financial capacity to pay over the term of the agreement. This may likely include salary deductions. But we believe the rent-to-own initiative can go a long way to assist those Bahamian families who may not be able, in the regular circumstances, to become homeowners. Madam Speaker, the lease of the Town Center Mall is another area that has attracted a lot of attention. I wish to now table a copy of the lease which the Bahamian people have been asking to see for some time. A brief review of the facts will indicate the government is to pay rent at $632,952 per annum, and VAT at $75,954.24 per annum. The lease further stipulates that additional rent for the improvement of the premises are to be paid at the rate of $500,000 plus interest over 60 months, 5 years, which equals $111,177.36 per annum. Adding up the annual rent, VAT, and additional annual rent due, the government payout as estimated to be $820,083.60 each year for the use of the Town Center Mall. It should also be noted that the government is also responsible for the utility bills, including all connection fees and deposits, as well as property and personal injury insurance. The government is paying $500,000 to upgrade and improve the property, and the lease agreement stipulates that the government may also have to pay for the premises to be returned to its original state when the lease ends. The government would also have to pay any associated legal fees if litigation arises. The lease is binding for 5 years until the 28th of February 2024. Even if the government were to find a more suitable and cost-effective location, due to concerns about duplicated costs and the amounts already expended, we would not be able to move forward at this time. Those are the facts. I will allow those within earshot to form their own conclusion regarding whether they believe the government received value for money or not. And have both here at the table, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to pivot now. We finally get the lease. It's here, table. All that time, it's here. Madam Speaker, I would like to now pivot to transport. The Davis administration is committed to implementing competitive delivery standards to regain lost ground for our ship in registry. There are so many missed opportunities for revenue that we can now take advantage of. It is time for us to better leverage our strategic geographic advantage as a transport and shipping gateway for the Americas. It's not just about generating revenue for the government. We must also secure opportunities for Bahamians. With an increase in ships registered in the Bahamas comes other opportunities. As more cruise ships register in the Bahamas, there are more opportunities for money to be spent in local businesses. We will also promote training and employment of local talent on Bahamian registered ships. Any Bahamian registered cruise ship should have an agreed upon level of Bahamian employees at all levels. Madam Speaker, during my second week in office, I made it a priority to tour many of the departments which falls under my transport portfolio. And I was completely saddened by the state of the working conditions at the stadium, which houses the road traffic headquarters. Let me be clear. This was only supposed to be a temporary solution. Only supposed to be a temporary solution. However, it is extended into years and years. And it is unfortunate that our civil servants are expected to work under such unsatisfactory conditions. I wish to state on record that it is my priority to build a home for the road traffic department, and hopefully that can commence in short order. Madam Speaker, many will be excited to hear that we are currently exploring the ways we can introduce an organized integrated public bus system, something that I wish to say that my colleague who was there at Transport had already started many years ago. That is the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin. These reforms may incorporate technologies such as deep GPS tracking so that passengers can keep track of where the buses are, and a cashless Metro card system that will address the issues many drivers have been having with non-payment and theft. Talks are still underway, and we will be announcing more details on the recommended reforms in short order. Madam Speaker, I wish to also notify the public bus drivers that I am in ongoing discussions with the Minister of Health and Wellness with respect to the COVID safety protocols to ensure we get you back to fully operational. Madam Speaker, the commercial recreational watercraft industry is a critical component of the tourism product. With our abundance of sun, sand, and sea, thousands flock to our shores with dreams of parasailing, riding jet skis, and experiencing the exhilaration of banana boat rides. The PLP has long recognized the importance of this sector and first introduced comprehensive laws and regulations to govern the industry with the introduction of the Commercial Recreational Watercraft Act in 2006. Madam Speaker, today the PLP remains committed to the industry and the hundreds of self-employed business people it supports. Equally, we recognize that there are challenges that require us to enact the reforms to strengthen regulations, governance, and discipline within the industry. The PLP commitment to the industry began from day one. For months leading up to the general election, the PLP candidates heard the horror stories told by the hundreds of operators whom the Minnis administration singled out to shut down. From March 2020, the former administration, without justification or explanation, determined that whilst almost every other sector was allowed to reopen, commercial watercraft operators would be shut down. Madam Speaker, for these operators, their bills had to go unpaid. They had to struggle. Hundreds of jobs were lost, and the government did not attempt to justify their actions. Madam Speaker, on today, I am pleased to announce that the commercial recreation watercraft industry, closed since March 2020, will reopen on Monday, the 15th of November, 2021. in reopening the industry, all operators will be required to complete their license application and participate in mandatory industry training, the first session of which is scheduled for Monday, the 8th of November, 2021. This training will include sanitization and health protocols to ensure the safety of patrons and guests. Further details concerning this training will be released shortly. Madam Speaker, it's a new day. And there will be new rules, new codes of conduct and new regulations. Owners within the industry have committed to working with the Port Department to ensure that standards are kept and rules are followed. The government has appointed the chairman of the Port Authority, which has regulatory oversight of the industry, and will shortly appoint the remaining board members. The authority will act firmly and fairly in maintaining standards and enforcing all rules and regulations for the benefit of the industry and the country. Madam Speaker, economic growth and job creation are key components of our blueprint. Today, I am proud to say to the hundreds of owners and operators of the watercraft industry, go back to work, because it is indeed a new day. Madam Speaker, when you have an ambitious agenda like ours, you know that you cannot afford to waste time if you want to get everything done. That is why the Davis administration has been hard at work from day one, no vacation. We have delivered on key promises at a record-breaking pace, and we are about to deliver on many more. Many doubters and cynics claimed our key promises were only political rhetoric and could not be achieved. Yet, here we are, about to deliver on those very promises that the naysayers said we couldn't deliver. We have big goals, and the word impossible is not in our vocabulary. It is our mandate to deliver for the Bahamian people in a big way, to bring about the promised transformation. Our execution must match our ambitions. So far, I believe the Davis administration is off to a great start. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today as the member for Elizabeth. God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Asmini? The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Southern Shores.
Madam Speaker, I deem it a privilege and an honor to stand on behalf of the wonderful people of the great constituency of Southern Shores. Madam Speaker, before I make my contribution, I must first of all praise and give thanks to the Almighty God for His favor on my life, for making this day a possibility. I am not going to let Him down, Madam Speaker, for I realize that without Him, I can do nothing. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank the Governor General, His Excellency Cornelius A. Smith, for his speech from the throne. The speech was read with such passion and conviction that it seems like he could not wait to embrace a new day. I also pause to thank my leader, the Honorable Philip Edward Davis, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, for his confidence and trust in me in giving me an opportunity to make a difference, to transform lives, and to assist in diversifying our economy. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank my wife, Caroline, my daughters, Lashanti, Lakeisha, Latia, Sophia, and Rashan, and my three grandsons as of this morning, 4 o'clock. Akeem, Akari, and I do not know the name of the... But I trust it's Leroy Major II. I want to thank you for your patience, unending love, and unwavering support. From the bottom of my heart, I truly love you. Madam Speaker, I also publicly want to thank my constituents, the wonderful people of Southern Shores, for voting for me. On September 16, you in large majority elected me to be a representative, your voice in this honorable House. For that, I am very grateful. Your cry was loud and clear on that day. You wanted a man that cares about the people. You wanted a man that would fight for the people, that will support the people, and that will speak for the people. Southern Shores, you have your man. I will fight for you. I will support you. I will speak for you. And surely I care about you. Now, Madam Speaker, to those individuals who fought a good fight, who kept the faith, who finished the course, I speak of no other than Team Major. I thank you for your endless sacrifice. You overcame the odds, and you allow me to be standing here today. I am truly humbled. Thank you again, my Southern Shores family. Madam Speaker, I also wish to thank my church family, the amazing people of the Pilgrim Baptist Temple, the Promised Land dwellers. From the start, as a church, you stood with me. Thank you, Pilgrim, for standing with me. Thank you for praying for me. And thank you for encouraging me. Yes. To God be all the glory. And a final thank you, Madam Speaker, is extended to the management and staff of BAIC, who have extended a warm welcome to me and a pledge to join me in making food security a reality in the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, before I make my presentation on the speech from the throne, I want to assure my constituents of Southern Shores that I will work continuously to ensure that our constituency is safe, successful, and we are all supportive of each other. We are presently sourcing CCTV cameras to be installed throughout our constituency to help keep our community safe. We have been receiving a lot of calls concerning the condition of our streets. Those concerns are now being addressed. And in short order, we will begin an aggressive cleanup campaign to remove all derelict vehicles and cleaning of grown properties, transforming them into green spaces so that our community would be clean, green, and pristine for Christmas. Madam Speaker, the speech from the throne on October 6, 2021 brought a breath of fresh air throughout this archipelago we call the Bahamas. The New Day speech, as I refer to it, was a sigh of relief, a glimmer of hope, and released a spirit of reassurance to the hearts and minds of the Bahamian people. What energized me, Madam Speaker, is that my government, this Philip Davis government, made food security, food sustainability a matter of priority on its agenda. We know the Bahamas, like most countries in our region, is a food deficit country, meaning we import more than we produce. Madam Speaker, this must change. During COVID-19 pandemic, our food supply was threatened to the extent that as a country, we almost ran out of food due to the hoarding of food in the country by those we traditionally depend on. If we learned only one thing during this pandemic, Madam Speaker, that one thing should be how vulnerable we are as a country as it relates to food security. Madam Speaker, we know the problem, And now we also know the solution. BAIC. The Bahamas Agriculture and Industrial Corporation was established by the then PLP government on December 30th, 1981. And it was commenced on March 4th, 1982, some 40 years ago. Its main functions are, listen, Madam Speaker, to stimulate, facilitate, and encourage development of agriculture in the Bahamas, to process the produce of agriculture in the Bahamas, to market the produce of agriculture in or without the Bahamas, to assist in the creation and development of commerce and industry in the Bahamas, and to expand and create opportunities for Bahamians to participate in the economic development in the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, BAIC is the sleeping giant of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. It's a corporation. It's getting hot here. Madam Speaker, it's a corporation of great opportunities. Madam Speaker, BAIC is undertaking a five-pronged approach to becoming the mechanism to diversify our economy, which will lead to, among other things, and the creation of jobs, empowerment, entrepreneurs, and increase in our food production. Madam Speaker, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, or the USDA, nearly $620 million of food items were imported into the Bahamas in 2019, accounting for 80% of our import directly from the United States. The remaining 20% of our of our country's import, 10% of which are imported from other countries, and the Bahamas only produce 10% of its own food. Madam Speaker, 40 years ago, the mandate was given. 40 years later, the Bahamas is only producing 10% of its own food. So, where do we go from here? Where do we put a dent in this mind-boggling food import bill? Where do we begin anew to forge a new path to sustain food stability? We begin with the Bahamian farmers, who are first and foremost at the forefront of us achieving food security. Madam Speaker, first, it is intended for BAIC to work with the Ministry of Agriculture and farmers to set a crop scheduling system whereby farmers across the archipelago, will be responsible for producing specific crops on a mass scale to feed our populace. A number of farmers will be responsible for growing particular crops. BAIC will give them all the necessary support they need to make this a reality. Madam Speaker, in 2020, the Bahamas spent $31 million on citrus products and melon. We also spent nearly $38 million on root tubers such as cassavas, sweet potatoes, and Irish potatoes. Madam Speaker, imagine if Bahamian farmers were empowered to produce these crops. My God, from Zion. They would already know, and they already know how to grow them. With BAIC, they can grow them on a commercial scale, and these monies would remain home to build our economy. Madam Speaker, my government talked about the ease of doing business in the Bahamas. This ease of doing business is also extended to the agriculture production in the Bahamas. Moreover, at the end of the day, the only job we require for our farmers to do is to grow their crops. BAIC will handle the rest, and we will be the main distributor of their crops. Madam Speaker, we are here to bring a new day for the Bahamian farmers. Madam Speaker, secondly, BAIC is operating a feed mill located in Gladstone Road Agriculture Center. This feed mill was originally designed to supply feed for the ministry's livestock. Now, the mill has become the feeding pot for all livestock farmers throughout the Bahamas. Our dedicated staff and hardworking team at the mill mixes a variety of feed daily to meet the demand of the farmers. The variety of feed consists mainly of corn and other ingredients such as soybeans and fish meal, which the farmers greatly depend on to feed their livestock at a nominal fee. Notwithstanding, Madam Speaker, BAIC spend between $450,000 to $600,000 annually importing these ingredients for the mill. Madam Speaker, if the main ingredients is corn, we at BAIC know that we need to grow more corn. A farmer who can grow corn exclusively for the mill can earn approximately $275,000 a year. Madam Speaker, that is more money than you're making. So everybody needs to be a farmer. I remember last year, the former Prime Minister said when he finished political life, that he's going to go into farming. This is why, y'all. This is the secret. We are aggressively pursuing this venture and inviting farmers to take on this initiative head on. And if land is needed, we at BAIC are prepared to lease the land to make this a reality. This is indeed a new day. To this end, this is how a new day government has come to save the day by putting more dollars into the pockets of our Bahamian farmers. Madam Speaker, we at BAIC believe that education enables one to function as a worthwhile being in society. We also believe that fostering a love for agriculture in our youth will cultivate a lifelong love for the field. Towards this end, our third prong is to create an agriculture cadet program to encourage young agriculture entrepreneurs, which will stimulatively promote a sustainability in agriculture. This initiative will involve high school students being trained in sustainable farming. Participants will be given stipends, and the goal is that upon high school graduation and successful completion of the cadet program, students will be encouraged to attend the Bahamas Agriculture and Marine Science Institute to obtain an associate degree. Upon graduation from BAIC, land will be allocated to support agribusiness career in, BAMC. Upon graduating from BAMC, land will be allocated to support agribusiness careers for the graduates. Madam Speaker, the fourth prong is capitalizing on our native products. BAIC welcome all farmers who wishes to production of layers to meet the demand for local consumption, reducing the importation of eggs into the Bahamas. BAIC currently working on two major sustainable initiatives through the Pine Island Project in collaboration with the Global Environmental Faculty, GOF, the castorilla bark cultivation and the processing of castorilla oil, which is being done in Acklands and Crooked Island. The native palm cultivation, which is to support our indigenous craft industry here in the Bahamas. This project is being done in Red Bays and Central Andros. BAIC intend to work with the straw market authorities to agitate that every product in the world famous Nassau straw market is authentically Bahamian. We no longer want to see imported wares from the Far East or from our neighbors to the north or South American countries. We are working towards a new day when every bag, every t-shirt, every hat, and all souvenirs would be made with pride by the hands of our talented Bahamian artisans. Additionally, BAIC will provide training workshop for Bahamians who want to be upcoming businessmen and businesswomen beginning January 2020. To this end, BAIC has partnered with Nassau Cruise Line Port to host an authentically Bahamian trade fair, December 11th and 12th, at the Grand Ballroom at Atlantis Resort, Paradise Island. This authentically Bahamian trade fair will showcase a variety of high-quality Bahamian-made products designed by Bahamian artisans. The trade fair will connect entrepreneurs who will populate Nassau Cruise Port authentically Bahamian marketplace. Now, every artisan needs to know that, because we know that the cruise port is being developed. And they will have an authentically Bahamian marketplace where only Bahamian products will be sold. So everybody needs to get on board. The producers, sorry, let me continue. The Bahamian marketplace with suppliers and producers of Bahamian products, such as artworks, crafts, straw goods, jewelry, woodwork, clothing, shell works, and to name a few. The event also will facilitate networking and engaging opportunities between artisans and market entrepreneurs and wholesalers producers from hotels and cruise industries with owners and operators of tour industries, attractions, and restaurants alike. We are especially encouraging family island artisans to take part in this authentically Bahamian trade fair to showcase our Bahamian uniqueness. Madam Speaker, if anyone is interested in making straw bags, creating souvenirs, and jewelry out of our native seashells or wood carving, BAIC is here to develop that talent. Madam Speaker, the fifth prong to diversify our economy is the research of exporting our produce on a large scale and no longer on a single small scale. We are right now at the drawing board while we are in the embryonic stage of increasing production numbers of our crops to feed ourselves. The next stage will be to start discussion with the Ministry of Trade and Industry and non-governmental partners to research large-scale export of our produce. The intent is to begin with our closest neighbor to the north, the United States of America, specifically South Florida. Our long-term goal is to be the dominant distributor in the Bahamas by increasing food processing labs, increasing our warehouse capacities, increasing our sales team, and partnering with large resorts locally to ensure that whatever they have in their hotels rooms, whether soap, lotion, shampoo, artworks, linen, or even furnitures, they are all authentically Bahamian. Madam Speaker, I pause. Years ago, I worked at Mali Resort as a financial controller, and every single item in that hotel was hand-carved by Jamaicans in Jamaica. That's right. We need to do that in the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, if we get it right, BAIC is the answer to creating jobs, creating entrepreneurs, generating foreign exchange through export, increasing household income, reducing poverty, and greatly assisting in alleviating our food shortage. BAIC intend to be the machinery to diversify our economy, and the time is now. This is indeed a new day. Madam Speaker, I thank you, and may God bless you, and may God bless the great people of Southern Shores, and may God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Elizabeth.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, during my contribution, I indicated that I had intent to table 2 documents. I beg leave to do that at this time, please.
Yes. Have the order that the document be brought up.
Thank you.
Order that the documents do lie on the table. At this time, I'd like to ask the Honorable Member for Kalani. In good faith, you are allowed to quote extensively from a document which when you made your contribution to this debate. I call upon you at this time to table that document as promised. Order that the document be brought up. Thank you, Honorable Member. Order that the document do lie on the table. As many. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for St. Barnabas.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for your acknowledgement. Madam Speaker, I stand for the first time in this parliamentary session to thank His Excellency the Governor General for the speech from the throne, grateful to Almighty God, who is the great architect of the universe, and who has allowed my life to be a testimony of failures and victories, struggles and triumphs, to the glory of His name, and hope that it serves as an example that His redeeming love is quantified in the loving and limitless mercy He provides. I thank him for giving me the breath and the opportunity to serve the Bahamian people and the people of St. Barnabas. I'm humbled and honored for having my name permanently sewn into the historical fabric of this honorable house, and pray to Almighty God that my deeds will bring honor to the selection that the people of St. Barnabas have made for a second time. I'm grateful to my parents, Madam Speaker, who continue to pour into me even at the age of 45 years old. I'm grateful to my soon-to-be wife, my fiancée, Ms. Nia Penn, for her constant support. And I'm grateful to my daughters, Destin, Sharon, and Sinead, for understanding that sometimes Daddy isn't around as much as they would like because of my duties in public life. You know, Madam Speaker, there's a Chinese proverb that says, by the time a man realizes his father was right, he has a son or children who thinks he's wrong. I have reached that point. I can tell my father today, if he's listening, Mr. Don Cartwright, who the member for West End knows very, very well, he was right. And on some issues, my daughters think that I'm wrong. Madam Speaker, I wish to congratulate you on your ascension to the Speaker's chair, and in so doing, you have justifiably made your way onto a prominent historical shelf as only the second woman Speaker in the 292-year history of this august body, alongside the first woman Speaker under a free national movement government, the Honorable Rome Italia Johnson. This historical bookmark fits with the election of an historic number of women in this chamber today, and every Bahamian, Madam Speaker, regardless of their politics, should rejoice in that fact. Madam Speaker, I've said often, and it deserves repeating, our country is a tremendous incubator of intellect, purpose, and talent. And that's why, with every fiber of my being, despite our challenges, Madam Speaker, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, I will always believe, is still the greatest nation in the world. No global pandemic can strip away the greatness that God has deposited in these 700 islands and keys, and in every being of the Bahamian people. And that's why, Madam Speaker, I can only proclaim as I know how that it's still better in the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, on September 16th, despite conventional thinking by the pundits and naysayers, God, in his infinite wisdom, his grand plan still in effect, and the democratic will of the people of St. Barnabas, this member and his St. Barnabas We Care team, Madam Speaker, withstood the proverbial political wave. We fought off cameo appearances on the campaign trail, former cabinet ministers, a deputy leader, and even a former prime minister. No, you weren't.
I was.
Ah,
I was.
my intelligence didn't provide that. Madam Speaker, the song says, what do you do when you've done all you can? You just stand. So today I do stand and I offer this declaration not as an ego-driven exercise, but as a sense of immense pride that in this often cynical, skeptical, partisan, and clannish political culture, the people of St. Barnabas did not bow nor genuflect to politics as usual or allowed outside influences to take root. In St. Barnabas, we inspired a coalition of F&Ms, PLPs, and independents, a coalition of the willing, a coalition of believers, the willingness to prove the skeptics wrong, and the belief in a level of service that continues to transcend political lines. They had their electoral story to tell, Madam Speaker, an historic political story, a story about unconditional service to all, service from the heart that was vindicated and validated on election night. Madam Speaker, St. Barnabas and its people have stood out as a beacon of hope, inspiration, and promise because we dared to resist the status quo that says Party affiliation is the absolute determining factor in being elected by the people. In the end, Madam Speaker, the people of St. Barnabas stood on lines guided by the most democratic principle in its purest form: serve all and serve well, and the politics will take care of itself. Madam Speaker, I offer my sincere thanks to my team members who still continue to be there for me because they believe in our cause, that we've given the people of St. Barnabas something to vote for, something to support. The people of St. Barnabas have reaffirmed my belief that there are enduring values that must transcend party politics for the good of the Bahamian people and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. The values of an unrelenting and selfless commitment to country, a deep concern for people's welfare, hard work, community, and respect for human dignity. For in the end, the greatest distinction, Madam Speaker, I would wish to have aligned with my name is that I served and that I served all, even those who were my greatest critics, whether they do so constructively or pointlessly. Madam Speaker, through their inherent democratic right and through the ballot box, the Bahamian people have spoken, and we respect the decision that they have made. Their verdict, the Progressive Liberal Party, has been charged with holding on the reins of government, and as governing is a shared endeavor, though unequally at times, the Free National Movement has been tasked to serve as Her Majesty's loyal opposition. Different, distinct roles, but both important to our democracy. The flourishing of that democracy involves all of us enthusiastically giving way to the sobriety, introspection, and perspective that I believe that this moment, with the backdrop of a pandemic, demands. For any of us to peddle propaganda, rhetoric, rally talk, showmanship, and doublespeak is to disrespect the Bahamian people and to do them a grave disservice. Let us, Madam Speaker, have an honest and candid debate that firstly acknowledges that both political parties have contributed significantly to the development of our country. We expect the government to assess and critique our former administration's policies and what they perceive to be the impact of those policies. That is fair, and they would be well within their purview and authority to do so. What cannot be denied is that during what is reasonably considered one of the most challenging times, if not the most unprecedented time in our nation's history, the Free National Movement brought us through, though not perfect. No government can promise their people perfection, but they can deliver progress, Madam Speaker. Where are we today? How much progress has been made? Madam Speaker, I noted with great curiosity in the Prime Minister's communication over a week ago and the Deputy Prime Minister contribution just this week, I noted significant declarations and pronouncements to the Bahamian people that did shed light on the meaningful and consequential work put in by the Free National Movement government. Madam Speaker, I was doing some good reading. Firstly, the member for Exhume and Raglan Island, the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister. And in his contribution, I'll just share, I can report that our tourism numbers have been on an upward trajectory since November, December of 2020, when COVID-19 protocols requirements for international travelers were finally stabilized. We are coming back with a vengeance. Encouragingly, there are over 300 ships booked to call into Nassau between October and December. This is a remarkable recovery and translates to approximately 4 ships a day between now and December at the port of Nassau. The Prime Minister, in his communication, the Bahamian economy has emerged, Madam Speaker, from a steep double-digit contraction in 2020 and is poised to achieve some gains in real growth in 2021. Both the IMF and the technical experts at the Ministry of Finance forecast a return to positive real growth of roughly 2% in 2021 increased to 8% in 2022, with a return to trend growth of 1.5% by 2026. He notes that the outlook is certainly improving. He also noted that since reopening on the 1st of November 2020, tourism arrival numbers have increased. The Airbnb data are also demonstrating positive signs of growth across the country. Madam Speaker, the point here is that progress and those improvements did not happen overnight. It did not just start on September 17th, and it is a manifestation of the work that the Free National Movement government has put in place, as imperfect as any government would be. And the Free National Movement government should be lauded for the groundwork is set in that regard. On another matter, Madam Speaker, I noted this morning that the chaplain asked us not to forget the poor, grandma, and grandpa. That stood out for me, Madam Speaker, and here's why. In 2018, the Free National Movement, in its commitment to easing the tax burden on the Bahamian people, decided to take VAT off of bread basket items. Take VAT off of bread basket items. Every day, Madam Speaker, and I have no monopoly on this experience, but I'm speaking as the member for St. Barnabas. Every day, I get a deluge of calls from my constituents, thousands of constituents, who talk about the need, or the inability, I should say, to get bread basket items. There are some people on a daily basis, breakfast is corned beef and grits with maybe a slice of pear. And in the evening, it's corned beef and rice. Now, I'm not being overly dramatic here. The point that I'm making, and we all have these experiences in our constituencies. Taking VAT off of bread basket items hurts the marginalized and it hurts the poor in real terms. I've heard the different arguments about the macroeconomic principles on which the government may be proposing the reduction of VAT to 10%. But what I know is real is that this will hurt many thousands of Bahamians. Additionally, Madam Speaker, taking VAT off of prescription drugs in the middle of a still raging global pandemic, when our population is highly vulnerable to non-communicable diseases, and now are at a greater risk because of COVID, and to take those kind of measures and put VAT back on to prescriptions, it's a tragedy, and I feel, Madam Speaker, an injustice, and that's not hyperbole. Madam Speaker, it never escapes my consciousness, Mr. Speaker, that for good or for bad, my words will have resonance across our Bahama land. So I work feverishly on my own imperfections to ensure that my words always reflect the thoughtfulness, honesty, humility, and love of my people and my country that I truly hope is seen in both my personal and political life. So I offer these thoughts in my duty to my country, the Bahamian people in general, and the people of St. Barnabas in particular. These thoughts continue to preoccupy my mind and burden my heart, and no doubt, in my humble view, will continue to determine the degree to which progress and advancement is made for our people and our Commonwealth. Madam Speaker, in these unparalleled times of a global pandemic and on the heels of a general election, the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and the Bahamian people have been called yet again to reimagine, reframe, reshape, and reposition as we write our next chapter in our nation's history. This reimagination and repositioning, in my view, requires boldness of thought, consciousness of duty to country, a diligence and courage to act, and execution of big ideas with actionable plans that will catapult our nation. For decades, we have had a surplus of challenges and a running deficit of political leadership on matters of national consequence, in my view. Madam Speaker, I'm not talking about leadership or personalities. I'm talking about political will. Let us be moved by the weight of personal conscience and not the weight of personal claim, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have lost so much and simultaneously, though, have gained so much more in being confronted by this moment with one of the greatest tests we've ever faced as a people and as a nation. Despite the circumstances, there is no cause for despair, disenchantment, or disillusionment, Madam Speaker, but rather cause for admiration, optimism, and hope, as we, the Bahamian people, are still here standing after a hard-fought election. We must now, in my view, juxtapose the beginnings of this new legislative session in the midst of a pandemic with a focus on the continuous, unfulfilled aspirations of our people, who have clearly shown, Madam Speaker, from election cycle to election cycle, that they are not satisfied. This accounts for the in today, out tomorrow election results. In the last 20 years, there has still remained across our land an insatiable need, Madam Speaker, for real change and transformation. What is upon us now is new opportunities and new frontier. And what is required next is that our tenacity and resilience, shown as a people, must now chart a new course in a world that eagerly awaits greater societies and even more innovative, evolving populations. Madam Speaker, we cannot afford for history to record and future generations to reflect that we allowed the gravity of this moment to elude us. We, the Bahamian people, must now take our place to reside in the echelons of those nations that perfected themselves and redefined and reshaped prospects for its people and altered its global standing. This legislative body, comprised of these members, Madam Speaker, for this time, have an obligation to act. The petty politics, political savagery must stop, and the people's business must take front and center. The legacy of the impact of this global pandemic on us as a people must not be centered on our trials and our tribulations, but in our triumphs. We cannot allow the story to be about the despair and the misery. History and the world should take note on how we planned, innovated, and how we overcame. Let us start now, Madam Speaker, and let the world hear us. Madam Speaker, we must build the workforce of the future. We must increase the quality of life of our people so that the impact reaches into generations. For this is not a question of politics, it is a question of national aspirations. Madam Speaker, speaking about the workforce, there's something I wish to just mention, and we've talked about it a lot in this honorable place. And the member for Fox Hill, as the minister in charge of the public service, would be intimately involved with this. During my time as executive chairman of the Bahamas Public Parks and Beaches Authority, I was always resolute in saying that besides keeping the island clean and making sure that things are properly manicured, the greatest feeling or joy was ensuring that the many persons who were weekly and monthly for 5, 10, 15, 25 years got permanent, irrespective of their politics. And so it is something that's been pressing on governments for decades. You know, we bring in these weekly workers and monthly workers, and they're left in limbo for some 20 years, 25 years. And so I hope it is something that the present government looks at with a view to really limit the amount of persons not only that we bring in, definitely not only bring in for a short period of time, but that they're not left in limbo because it really impacts their lives, the inability to go to banks, etc., and to truly operate a normal life. Madam Speaker, I say to this Parliament and Bahamians everywhere, this is our moment more now than before. We are so busy, Mr. Speaker, competing against each other, supporters and politicians alike, that we often miss the opportunity to solidify and force actionable progress on national priorities. There's a world out there that we must shore up our global standing. Madam Speaker, we must not be just a country to visit, but a country to learn from, a country to be tapped into for our innovation, our intelligence, our research. Madam Speaker, I've said this before, aren't we exhausted of just being the world's vacation spot? Madam Speaker, aren't we tired of being vulnerable and completely dependent on what happens beyond our borders while we twiddle our thumbs waiting for the planes and the cruise ships to return? Madam Speaker, I've also said that I am not for diminishing or abandoning our efforts of maintaining a vibrant tourism sector. I'm talking about the bigger picture, Madam Speaker. Yes, I'm interested in the number of tourists visiting our country, but I'm more inspired by the number of Bahamians we move out of poverty and upstream economically. So let us imagine a new invitation to the world. Come to the Bahamas for the sun, sand, and sea, but come too for our training, our teaching, our thinking. You see, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, apologies. This pandemic did not come to cripple us. It came to challenge us. This is our moment to live up to our promise as a nation and let the world mark the manner of our bearing. Madam Speaker, I also would like to share some thoughts that I shared in the last parliamentary session, but I believe it's worth repeating. Let us imagine and lead the charge on climate justice. For the impact of global pollution puts small island developing states like the Bahamas' very existence in jeopardy, as we are on the front line of the impact of climate change. Further, Madam Speaker, the global community cannot escape the responsibility that industrialized nations have in pushing back negative climate trends, as they are the biggest contributors to global emissions. But we are the most vulnerable. Madam Speaker, I was especially pleased to hear the Prime Minister's remarks at COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, championing our cause. On this issue, Madam Speaker, politics should not be applied. There are only 400,000 of us in this beautiful land, and climate change puts all of us and our existence at risk. Let us imagine the possibilities by setting our eyes on establishing the University of Bahamas as a premier institution, the global mecca of tourism and hospitality studies, where students and hospitality professionals from all around the world come to our shores to study. Let us imagine, Madam Speaker, by agreeing on a national consensus and apolitical position on our financial services industry in order to adapt to global trends, in particular, the adoption by G7 nations on a 15% global minimum corporate tax. The Commonwealth of the Bahamas and our people have had to combat and fend off the insistence and dictates of the European Union, OECD, and others whose constant strategy of moving the goalposts continues to run roughshod on small island developing states like the Bahamas. The intent, in my view, is they want to put us out of business. So we must be proactive and implement strategies to get ahead of coming changes to protect this vital part of our economy that represents 15% of GDP, as opposed to reacting to those changes. Madam Speaker, we assert our sovereignty when we put ourselves in the driver's seat. Let us imagine and see the possibilities of complementing the soon-to-be world-class port development by finally executing the revitalization of downtown Nassau with a re-imaging strategy anchored by a properly zoned, re-laid out city that is pedestrian-friendly and immersed in Bahamian culture, making downtown Nassau a destination within a destination and the envy of the world. Madam Speaker, one thing about Bahamians is that we are well-traveled people. And so you can go to New York today, Boston, Paris, whatever city around the world, and go back in 6 months and see the city transformed. For 40 years now or more, we're taking too long to, in my view, transform downtown Nassau. I'm not naive about the considerations and what that involves and the politics and the different interests. I accept that. But it's something that needs to be done for the benefit of the Bahamian people. As I close, Madam Speaker, I end where I started on the greatness of our nation and its promise. We are a great people whose potential are limitless, and in so being, it will be a great tragedy if we do not harness the opportunity, the collective courage to further advance the Bahamian people. Going forward from this crisis point, Madam Speaker, we must decide right here, right now, if we as one unified nation will allow Bahamian history to reflect that we squandered our talents, our capacity, our abilities, our purpose, our know-how, or will it reflect that we stood up and selflessly rejected our own inclinations, political expediency, and political biases for the sake of our country, for a promising and prosperous future for our children? Will there be embedded in the history books, Madam Speaker, that this was a time like no other when we would shape our destiny and not have our future shaped by how we lacked fortitude, how we lacked courage, how we lacked the will to do what must be done? Even in the wake of this historic global pandemic and its impact on our nation economically and otherwise, will the annals of history echo, Madam Speaker, that ours was an historic response that paved the way for a remade Bahamas, undergirded by national values of our forefathers, aligned with the innovation, ingenuity, the vision this moment demands, and the prosperity the Bahamian people deserve? Madam Speaker, God bless the people of St. Barnabas, Bahamians wherever they may be over land, air, and sea, and may he continue to richly bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for your valuable contribution. The Chair recognizes Asmini. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Nassau Village.
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, Madam Speaker. Today I rise on behalf of the hard-working, passionate, and unyielding constituents of Nassau Village. Without their support and dedication, I would not be here as their proud representative today. I commit to bringing responsive, reliable, and innovative representation. Today, I also rise on behalf of the millennials of the Bahamas who shout from the mountaintop that we are hungry, ready, and equipped to effectively govern, lead, and help usher the Bahamas from its current depressed state into a state of prosperity via hard work and sound decision-making. Today, I rise on behalf of all Bahamians. Though today is indeed a new day, it is predicated upon hope and resilience. We must address our nation's problems with steadfast, collective, creative, and pragmatic actions that will come to fruition. Madam Speaker, before I begin to address the matters pertinent to this occasion, the premier reason we are here today, I wish to congratulate you on your election to Speaker of the House of Assembly. Your ascension to such a position will continue to pave the way for young women and little girls, such as my daughter. I echo my colleague's sentiment who spoke before me, stating that you have joined the likes of Dame Doris Johnson, Ruby Ann Darling, Cynthia Mother Pratt, Dame Marguerite Pinlan, among many others. These ladies all paved the way for you to become the PLP's first female Speaker of the House of Assembly. Therefore, Madam Speaker, as my daughter watches her father speak today, I can tell her that I stood and presented before a woman of power and influence in the Bahamas and in Bahamian politics. So I thank you and all of our elected women in this honorable House today. Madam Speaker, your leadership in this House expands beyond visuality. Our existence in this place due to the overwhelming vote of confidence by the Bahamian people show that it is indeed a new day, and I am truly grateful for their trust in us. Their faith in our party's leadership has charged us with great responsibility. This Davis-led administration was given the responsibility to lead this country out of despair and doubt to which our predecessors have caused us to plummet to. However, we cannot all allow the burden of leadership to rest solely on the honorable member from Kidd Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador, and also the honorable member from Exuma and Ragged Island. On the 16th of September, the PLP displayed the best leadership to lead our country forward. However, our leaders must continually, and I am assured that they will continually, be girded and strengthened by the support of each and every member in this honorable House. Madam Speaker, for this economy to thrive and for our Bahamian people to continue placing trust in us, we must ensure that our scope of leadership goes beyond these walls. We must continually embark upon a journey of delivering compassionate, confident, and competent leadership. The Bahamian people, inclusive of young men and women, are watching us closely, Madam Speaker. However, my heart is filled with great optimism and hope as we continue to enjoy a new day in our country. Madam Speaker, I also wish to thank the great people of Nassau Village for allowing me the great responsibility to be awarded and representing them as their Member of Parliament. My entire Stronger Village team, my mother, Deborah Gay Strawn, my late father, Arnold Strawn of Gateshead Island, who I wish could have seen his youngest son stand as a member in this honorable House. My daughter, Mackenzie Strawn, all of my sisters, and all of my brothers, and my ray of sunshine. And a most gracious thank you to the party's stalwarts, upon whose shoulders I continue to stand. Words cannot express my gratitude for their support and trust in me to deliver good representation and to always have their best interests at heart. Madam Speaker, the people of Nassau Village have always been resilient and hopeful. This constituency for decades has produced hard-working constituents on many levels and in many respects and in many fields. Many persons who we do not know their names today, but most recently and notably, basketball star and center DeAndre Ayton. He is from Nassau Village, and I thank him for his contribution, and I thank him for representing the Bahamas at the highest stage and at the highest levels. Madam Speaker, while some of these figures will go unknown and their triumphs unsung, as their Member of Parliament and their fellow constituent, I wish to assure them that the legacy that they would have bestowed upon me continues. I will lead with compassion and hope, both of which will fuel their desire for an even better tomorrow. Hope will be placed in their hearts to create pathways for generations to follow. Madam Speaker, we are indeed in a new era of leadership and in a new day. It will not be easy, but we will persevere. Our young people will look at the leadership of this administration and have great admiration. When it's all said and done, the PLP will continue to make historical moments in time, as we have and as we will continue to do. We will be the party that had the most women elected to Parliament and inspired young girls across the archipelago, inclusive of Nassau Village, that they too can represent their country. They too can represent their constituency, and they too can ascend to the highest heights. We are the governing party that gave young men and women the opportunity to lead strategic agencies, most notably the new chairman of the Bahamas Development Bank. In the halls of political history, we are the organization that has and will always work in the best interest of all Bahamians. Madam Speaker, the speech from the throne offered hope and inspiration for a new day in Bahamian history. This speech, delivered by His Excellency Cornelius Smith, is an oratorical offering made to empower Bahamians to secure their place in the economy that would bring about prosperity for all Bahamians. I believe it offers hope for the old and the young, regardless of religion, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or gender. In the words of President Barack Obama, hope is that thing inside us that insists, despite all the evidence to the contrary, that something better awaits us if we dare to reach for it and to work for it and to fight for it. It would be remiss of me if I didn't acknowledge the challenges we face as a country. Challenges ranging from natural disasters, known and unknown, due to climate change, to a pandemic that was unprecedented, which we are still fighting today. Madam Speaker, despite all of the evidence of despair, we will restore hope in the Bahamian people and to the Bahamian people. Madam Speaker, our country has been in a vulnerable position for far too long under the previous administration. Our inability to implement food security methods is now at the forefront of the Davis-Cooper administration. I was elated to hear from the Minister of Agriculture, who announced that there would be an aggressive research-based approach which enable many avenues to expand resources and assist farmers and fishermen in producing more products to increase food security. I also spoke with my parliamentary colleague regarding the installation of a greenhouse at the Sadie Curtis Primary School, the only public institution in my constituency. And he has assured me that that is indeed on the way. I believe that if agriculture is cultivated from the very lower levels, we will be able to ensure that the sector itself grows as the country grows. I've also engaged in talks with my colleague, the chairman of BAIC, the honorable member from Southern Shores, regarding the installation of a greenhouse for the constituency. Agriculture, if it's built, must also be cultivated from the constituency level as well. So I assure Nassau villagers that not only will we build capacity agriculturally, but we will build capacity on all levels. This strategy, Madam Speaker, no doubt, is a step in the right direction and a forward step, a progressive step, and the most beneficial step. Further to this, we will continue to provide hope to support this society with basic need for food to nourish our Bahamian families in need. Madam Speaker, during the last 3 years of canvassing the Nassau Village constituency, I found a number of homes and households that went without food and that begged and pleaded for assistance. During the pandemic, we were awarded by our then representative with seeds and empty bags. Seeds and empty bags during a pandemic when you have your constituents pretty much begging and starving for support. I pray that we never see those days again, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Bahamian people endorsed the blueprint for change. The tremendous endorsement of our plan has presented us with the opportunity to further develop the sectors of our economy, as indicated by His Excellency. We will focus on the restoration and strengthening of our economy. In addition, we will pursue strategies that will address the infrastructural needs of the country. I was most pleased to engage the honorable member from Fort Charlotte, who is the Minister of Works and Utilities, and in his expeditious response, we were able to pave, resurface approximately 3 miles of thoroughfare in the Nassau Village constituency. It's already done. Yes, sir. Within 1 month of assumption of our duties, the complete resurfacing and repaving of the Nassau Village thoroughfare, Alexandria Boulevard, was completed. You see, Madam Speaker, it's one thing to be young, but youth has to be coupled with competency. And I am pleased, and I will forever be thankful to the honorable member from Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador for giving me and bestowing upon me the opportunity to show exactly what young Bahamians are capable of. In addition, Madam Speaker, and as I've mentioned earlier, we will continue to pursue strategies that will address infrastructural needs in the country. Madam Speaker, as a constituent in Nassau Village, I was disheartened with the last representative to find out that in the 21st century, a parliamentary member would install red hand pumps, red manual hand pumps throughout the constituency and expect it not to be an affront or an insult to the residents. So, Madam Speaker, I echo the sentiments of my fellow constituents that the gesture of hand pump installations will not be repeated. It's a new day. I aim to ensure that the much needed overdue infrastructural needs are addressed in the following areas: Gleniston Drive, Gleniston Park, Palmetto Drive, Almond Grove, Cocoa Plum Lane, all of which require immediate lighting and street light installations. I've already forwarded requests to the Honorable Minister asking for his help and his expeditious help at that, similar to the road pavings. Hopefully, we will get those in due course and in due order. I assure the constituents of Mangrove Street, Beechtree Avenue, Taylor Street North, and Stark Avenue that have all lamented the fact that there was absolutely no drainage installation, that I've also written to the Honorable Minister, again in that regard, requesting drainage installations, and he has assured me that Nassau Village will be given due consideration. Madam Speaker, if you were to traverse the entrance of Nassau Village, the main Taylor Street, you would notice that it is riddled with potholes. I understand, I feel the pain, and I acknowledge the difficulty that most Nassau villages face having inadequate roads. So I've also written to the Honorable Member and have been assured that early 2022, following the installation of the main water main through the Taylor Street intersection and along the Taylor Street Boulevard, that too will be resurfaced and repaved. And I thank the Honorable Member for it. Madam Speaker, in the progression of our economy, I wish to inform the people of Nassau Village that I will continue to work feverishly to ensure that their goals and aspirations be addressed. Their resilience and their talent will no longer go unrecognized, and most certainly be included in the national decision-making process. Over the past few months, Madam Speaker, I have met with many talented, focused, and well-mannered young people. My passion was fueled by my senior citizens who have granted me their blessings to lead them into a new day. So I thank them for sharing their wisdom on leadership and the needs for the area and the desired changes that they wish to see me bring about. Their views of a stronger Nassau Village, their demand for a stronger Nassau Village will most definitely be a part of my grander scheme to have a stronger Bahamas. For it is by their passion and the good Lord's strength that I will fuel my drive on a path toward delivering on each of my promises for a better day in Nassau Village. I stand here today because of them. I stand here today representing them. And I appreciate the opportunity that they would have bestowed upon me. Madam Speaker, a significant amount of constituents of Nassau Villages are young people. young people of various socioeconomic classes. Their needs are crucial to long-term sustainability in the area. Therefore, I am pleased to note that I wholeheartedly endorse the creation of the National First Job Program that will allow young people between the ages of 16 to 25 to gain a one-year government-subsidized placement in a field of national priority, including new economies and trade. This program is crucial for the personal and professional development of the young people of Nassau Village. In addition, the speech by His Excellency has presented a plan for the mental and professional growth of young people. It outlined a well-orchestrated and well-tailored plan for young persons' mental health, the fortification of self-confidence, identity, and an intermediary, and I would say interventional program to decrease excessive social media consumption. There are some of the critical needs of our young people, Madam Speaker. These are some of the critical needs of our young people, Madam Speaker. I've stated that we have resilient young people, but that doesn't mean that we must be negligent in addressing their mental health. Throughout my many years living in Nassau Village, I've witnessed the hurt and the despair of many young people. Young men are continuously dying, and single mothers left to put the pieces back together. It leaves me heartbroken. It hurts me to the core, Madam Speaker, that my neighbors are hurting. Therefore, it is crucial that every member of Parliament lend hands and in unison have deliberate approaches to ensuring that the future of young persons are guarded and focus on holistic development of the youth in our country. In the dawn of this new day, we continue to give them inspiration to live better lives, to live healthier lives, to live more fulfilled lives. We were elected here to strategize and develop avenues to ensure they have economic prosperity for their families. We understand that it will not be easy, but it will be possible. We cannot give up on our young people, and this must be a time for us to diversify our approach and advance our nation's position. Madam Speaker, the truth remains that many of the social ills that face our country are represented in my dear constituency. Therefore, I am committed to advocating for the construction of a community center to help and assist in the development of young persons and capacity building within the constituency. Like I said before, I live it, I feel it, I see it, and in some cases, I experience the hurt of my fellow constituents. I not only empathize with my neighbors of Nassau Village, but I also sympathize with them. In this new day, we must not only cater to the immediate needs of our people, but also address their long-term desires. I am pleased to know that our Deputy Prime Minister will make opportunities for young people to invest in their own economy and reap the benefits of it. This is definitely a step in the correct direction to ensure that hope is restored in our daily lives. Madam Speaker, our country is in a situation where we require major paradigm shifts, many of which were mentioned by those who spoke before me. Our efforts must be deliberate. Our efforts must be assertive, and our efforts must be forthright. Madam Speaker, time waits on no man or woman. The clock is ticking. Young persons are watching. Nassau villagers are watching. The entire Bahamas is watching. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I'm confident and proud to be a part of this New Day administration. Unlike the previous administration that took a vacation on their first 100 days, we will not sit idle and cater the special interest of a few, as our predecessors did. We have already begun immediate relief for the senior citizens, as mentioned by our dear Prime Minister. We have noted relief efforts launched by our Minister of Social Services and Urban Development. We have seen the minister responsible for youth already into the grid of it all. And we have seen the Minister of National Security on day one expunging the records of young men who only wanted to sell coconuts to help feed their families. This is what transpires in a new day. New attitudes, new approaches for an ever-changing and growing society. In closing, Madam Speaker, I wish to encourage all Nassau villagers, all millennials. It is never too early and it is never too late to pursue your dreams. I am a humble testament that assiduous hard work, tenacity, and grit always triumph. As the youngest person in the House of Assembly, at 33 years old, I became the honorable member and representative for the Nassau Village constituency, with one of the largest electoral margins in 8 years. As the Member of Parliament for all Nassau villages, I am committed to each and every one of you, irrespective of political leaning. I vow to champion each of your causes, and I will remain committed to revitalizing our dear home. I will continue to advocate for the continued increase of minimum wage for high-skilled and intellectual workers, because we must retain our talent. Too long have we suffered from brain drain. I believe that with the increase in wage, it will incentivize entrepreneurship to widen, diversify, and enhance employment paths. And I will continue to advocate for the decentralization of investments to allow Nassau villages to own businesses outside of New Providence. I will remain committed to the Foreign Service of the Bahamas and advancing and augmenting our nation's interest. I will continue and remain committed to the Bahamas, unwavering in my resolve. Madam Speaker, I would also like to thank the Honorable Member from Fox Hill and the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and Public Service, as I would have had the pleasure of garnering so much well-needed wisdom and support over the years. Thank you all once again. Thank you. Madam Speaker, in closing, I wish to thank the Honorable Member once again from Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador for giving this Soldier Road boy a chance to bring true representation, true responsiveness, true reliability, and innovative practices to Nassau Village. It is indeed a new day.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Asmini, the Chair recognizes the Honorable Member from Mount Moriah.
Madam Speaker, I rise in this honorable place today because of the grace that was granted to this member by our Heavenly Father. I also believe that His grace and mercy was granted on the 16th of September 2021 to this Davis Cooper-led administration to remove that which was an impediment to the progress of the Bahamian people. Madam Speaker, the ushering in of the Davis Cooper-led administration, I believe, was an act of divine intervention and heavenly mercy. Madam Speaker, as I look at the current composition and rearrangement of the seats in this House, a new day has surely dawned. Madam Speaker, the reading of the speech from the throne by the Governor General on the 6th of October 2021 not only set the stage for this debate, but strengthened and reaffirmed the supremacy of our parliamentary democracy. I thank the Governor General for discharging his constitutional duties. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank the Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Mr. Philip Brave Davis, QC, the Honorable Member for Cat Island, Rum Key, and San Salvador, for giving this member the opportunity to serve our country as a member of Parliament and as the Executive Chairman of Public Parks and Public Beaches Authority. I am perpetually grateful. The Honorable Prime Minister has proven time and time again, not only to this member, but to our nation, that he is willing to incorporate young individuals in key positions of government, whether it is in the executive arm of government or the essential governmental agencies. I wish the Prime Minister a safe return to the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, I wish to acknowledge your ascent to the chair in this honorable place. So far, Madam Speaker, you have proven to be eminently qualified. This House is definitely in good hands. Madam Speaker, I, like many young men and women across your country today, were raised by single mothers who persevered through adversities to ensure that their children were fed, loved, and educated. Madam Speaker, I wish to say thank you to my dear mother, Karen Barnaby, on behalf of myself, my siblings, Kelda, Silva, Shalou, and Khalifa. Madam Speaker, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge my supportive and loving wife, Lena Barnaby, and my children, Blaine and Rain. My family is my lighthouse, which has helped me navigate the wide and treacherous shoals. Madam Speaker, a political candidate is only as good as his supporting cast. I would like to thank my campaign coordinator, the generals, the captains, poll workers, election agents, the call center team, data entry clerks, runners, drivers, sign men, cleanup crew, bus drivers, contractors, prayer warriors, cooks, graphic designers, and of course, I must acknowledge the support from our stalwart counselors and many donors. Unfortunately, we have lost some of our team members and residents of Mount Moriah since the 16th of September 2021. I would like to express my condolences to those who have lost loved ones. May God comfort their families during their time of bereavement. I would also like to acknowledge Messrs. The late Sir Clement Maynard, Code Smith, and Arnold Forbes, former members of Parliament for Mount Moriah constituency, and all the other former members of Parliament for the work that they have done in Mount Moriah. This member stands on their shoulders. Madam Speaker, it is with profound gratitude and great humility that I thank the residents of the great constituency of Mount Moriah for electing this member to the halls of Parliament. Madam Speaker, it is truly a privilege to serve the people of Mount Moriah. They have reposed their confidence in this member to speak for them, to stand for them. Madam Speaker, they believe in the transformation that is contained in our blueprint for change. Their confidence is bolstered by the fact that we have moved quickly inside and outside of this place to make good on the commitments made in our blueprint for change. Madam Speaker, in plain terms, we are here to bring about our unchanging and unwavering philosophy, which is and has always been to wipe every tear from every eye, to grow our economy, to protect workers, to curb unemployment, to keep our borders safe, to fight hunger, to provide clothing and housing, and currently top on our agenda, controlling the spread of COVID-19 virus. Madam Speaker, these are not small challenges, but we were not sent here by the Bahamian electorate to think small or shrink away from the challenges of our day. We are elected, in the words of our Prime Minister, to make big changes. Madam Speaker, we are all assembled here to do the people's work. And as I look around this honorable place, the diversity, the intellect, and the humility, and the willingness to bring about a progressive, positive change is clearly evident. Madam Speaker, the naysayers have said that we cannot wipe every tear from every eye. Respectfully, they would have missed the point. The late, great Adi Hanna coined the phrase, I believe, to set a standard of care, a duty of care, a standard by which each new generation joining the progressive fight and ranks must commit to. It is our foundation. It is our guiding principle. It steers us in the direction of those who are disenfranchised and hurting. And in recent times, Madam Speaker, we can all attest to the pain and suffering that the economic fallout has had in our country. The economic fallout has not been kind to Mount Moriah. Times are tough. However, Madam Speaker, the silver lining is found in our progressive blueprint for change. Madam Speaker, we all know that the cost of living is high, and the average family struggle to make ends meet despite their best efforts. Our blueprint for change addresses the deficit between the struggle and the dream. And so, Madam Speaker, I want that family struggling in Mount Moriah to know that your caring PLP government understands that a livable wage is just the start. Madam Speaker, as stated in the speech from the throne, we will not leave behind the most vulnerable people in our society, end quote. Madam Speaker, to do so is to set our nation on a course to peril. Madam Speaker, it gives me great pride that our legislative agenda is not vacuous, but was produced with careful consideration. Madam Speaker, Mount Moriah is filled with budding and seasoned entrepreneurs who are excited for the support that is pledged in our blueprint for change, excited to take advantage of all that will be placed on offer by this caring PLP administration. Madam Speaker, our policies are the rising tide that will raise all boats. Our legislative agenda touches on every important area of our society. It speaks to supporting entrepreneurs, homes for Bahamians, stimulation of the construction sector, and by constructing of homes, roads, and air and sea support. This government's legislative agenda will touch every social rung in society. We are the big tent, Madam Speaker, from the young professionals to the grassroots. We have never turned our backs on those who were in need. In the words of Emma Lazarus, we define the big tent of the PLP. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, your yearning to breathe. Madam Speaker, it is a fundamental truth that the government should work for everyone and not the selected few, that affordable health care is a human right, that single mothers and fathers should not be denied government housing because they are single. Madam Speaker, single individuals pay taxes and raise families just like married couples. We believe that everyone that is willing to work should be able to find work and earn a decent wage, that every possible concession should be given to the working and middle class families, that we leave our country better than we met it, and that we in the government must never forget that the execution of our policies must preserve the dignity of those who may be going through difficult times. The benchmark, Madam Speaker, is dignity and respect. Madam Speaker, during my campaign, I sought to address some of the most challenging issues in the community of Mount Moriah: roof repairs, removal of bulk waste, unemployment, food assistance, free legal representation, free BJC virtual workshops, clearing of vacant lots, repairing streetlights, and assessment of infrastructure. Madam Speaker, as it relates to roofing repairs, I encountered numerous homes that needed immediate address. My team and I delivered pallets of plywood, felt, and shingles and other roofing supplies to help as many as possible. Madam Speaker, I have reassured the residents that our legislative agenda includes revitalization of urban renewal and small home repairs, which are desperately needed to ensure that we are able to address the long-standing issues. Madam Speaker, my heart aches when I see the wave and wave of blue tarps on the rooftops, and I pledge, Madam Speaker, to help as many as I can. Madam Speaker, it did my heart well to put smiles on the faces of those who are in need. I will continue to assess homes that need repairs so that Mount Moriah is ready to take on the work when the work begins. Madam Speaker, we will be ready to hit the ground running. In Mount Moriah, we have an existing government building that would be the perfect location for urban renewal. I am hoping that we can bring that deep connection between state and community to Mount Moriah. Madam Speaker, we must do our best to bring relief. The expectation is great, but I believe that we can reasonably deliver because, Madam Speaker, these are things that we have done before. Madam Speaker, in 2020, when I began campaigning in Mount Moriah, I was shocked by the amount of garbage that had accumulated on the service roads, which are situated behind homes and residents. The service roads became a dumping site. Madam Speaker, I feared that the water table would be contaminated, so immediately I hired backhoe operators, payloaders, bobcats, dump trucks, and dumpsters to remove the piles and piles of garbage. Madam Speaker, my team and I worked for weeks to address the issue. We got the job done. Senior residents such as Mother Burns, Ms. Sands, Ms. Ferguson, and Felix Monroe can attest to this. However, the service roads remain in a persistent state of repair and service. I will provide the dumpsters on a quarterly basis to curb the dumping. I will also seek a meeting with the Minister of Works and Utilities and the chairman for BPL when named to discuss how we can secure the service road to prevent illegal dumping. Additionally, my team and I cleared several vacant lots throughout Mount Moriah to bring a sense of safety and security to the residents. We will continue. Madam Speaker, since September 2020, my team and I have distributed hundreds of buys of food to residents throughout the pandemic. And Madam Speaker, I would just like to take an opportunity to acknowledge the former member for Mount Moriah, Mr. Arnold Forbes, who is now in the gallery. Madam Speaker, I believe BAMSI must play an integral role in food security. Fortunately, Madam Speaker, our blueprint for change appreciates the need for sustainable farming and food security through BAMSI and other initiatives. Madam Speaker, we cannot survive solely on the goodwill of others, especially, Madam Speaker, in matters that we can address for ourselves. Another pressing issue that needs to be dealt with, Madam Speaker, is unemployment. Youth unemployment is very high. I am pleased that our legislative agenda will tackle the scourge of youth unemployment. Our national First Job program for young people between the ages of 16 and 25 will allow young persons to gain a one-year government-subsidized placement in a field of national priority, including new economies and trade. Madam Speaker, we must remove the barriers and impediments to employment for every category of worker. The state should do its best to remove impediments to employment where it is reasonable to do so. That is why, Madam Speaker, I am elated to inform the constituents of Mount Moriah that this government will create a Second Chance program. The Second Chance program will allow those who have served prison time to re-enter the job market. That is what a progressive government does, a government of second chances. Additionally, Madam Speaker, our comprehensive plan to stabilize our economy will invariably positively impact every category of worker, and even the retired individuals. Madam Speaker, Mount Moriah is a very established community with many retired individuals, many of whom will benefit from the increase in their pension. Madam Speaker, I have personally represented and provided free legal advice to hundreds of residents in Mount Moriah in multiple areas of law. I have started this work in 2010. Madam Speaker, I would like to note that I have campaigned in Mount Moriah constituency leading up to the 2012 general election, which we've won, in 2017 when we lost, and in 2021, Madam Speaker, to God be the glory, when we won. Madam Speaker, my navel string is buried in Mount Moriah. My past, present, and future is inextricably linked to the people of Mount Moriah. Over the past decade, I have done my best to help those in need of who needed free legal representation and the like. In addition to providing free legal services, I've also provided free virtual tutoring for BJC examination preparation. And Madam Speaker, that is because we know that education is the key to success. Therefore, I will continue to harness and support educational pursuits of the young people in Mount Moriah. Our future is dependent on the success of our young people. What we do now to assist our young people will determine the direction of our country in the future. Madam Speaker, I will continue my assessment of the infrastructural and safety upgrades that are needed throughout the constituency. I will ensure that speed bumps are placed where residents have expressed concerns. To that end, Madam Speaker, I am taking all the necessary steps to ensure that infrastructural improvements are carried out in a timely manner. For instance, I have communicated with the Ministry of Works and Utilities concerning the approval of speed bumps. I was pleased to inform the various associations and committees that submitted applications for speed bumps that some of them have already been approved. There are some applications that have to be resubmitted, but we will address those in due course. Madam Speaker, I will be contacting the Ministry of Works and Utilities again upon the completion of our community-wide spread assessment for guardrails, traffic signs, road striping, and paving throughout the community. Madam Speaker, all politics are local. These undertakings let the people know that we care about their concerns and that they matter. Madam Speaker, I have met with the majority of the associations in Mount Moriah and have entered into productive communications on the way forward for our community. I will be meeting with more associations in the coming weeks. I know that gas tank theft has been a particularly vexing issue for Stapleton Gardens. My team and I have considered this issue and will articulate my plan to address the same in short order. However, I will do so after meeting with the Stapleton Gardens Crime Watch. Madam Speaker, I would like to share a fun fact. The Progressive Liberal Party was unable to secure the majority of votes in the Stapleton Gardens during the last 4 elections. Madam Speaker, many conceded defeat and called the victory for the other side. Madam Speaker, it feels good to report to this honorable House that we won the majority of votes casted in Stapleton Gardens, which was once considered a stronghold for the other side. Madam Speaker, to be clear, this accomplishment has evaded our party since the time of the late, great Clement T. Maynard, and I am still humbled by the results. It is not my sole accomplishment, but must be shared with the team who worked day and night to get the job done. Madam Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to encourage anyone who has ever thought of quitting on their dream to never stop, to never quit, because all things are possible through Christ who strengthens us. Madam Speaker, I will continue to attend places of worship throughout Mount Moriah, establish a register of shut-in and elderly, meet with entrepreneurs to discuss their concerns and inform them of the opportunities outlined in our blueprint for change, assess existing government and private buildings and vacant lots for the establishment of a community center. I have spoken to the ministers regarding the same, and in due time, I will report on the next steps. I will assess and identify the solution to the low water pressure experience on Melbourne Road. Establish a millennial association for Mount Moriah. Assess all public restrooms, complete the unfinished restroom on Major Road Park. Assess and address the flooding issue in the front of Yellow Elder. Support and distribute surveillance cameras at crime hotspots throughout the community. This initiative has commenced already. Establish a hurricane preparedness association where we will purchase portable generators to keep medical devices operating during blackouts, prone trees that present a clear and present danger to the public. Establish a chess club, athletic and academic programs. Reach out to members of the armed forces to speak with them, to get their input on how we can keep Mount Moriah safe, and of course, partnering with the Grove Police Station. And to establish a conflict resolution group to communicate with senior men in the community to de-escalate conflicts before they lead to homicides. Madam Speaker, I will continue to update the residents of Mount Moriah on our blueprint for change. I will keep them abreast of all the work that is being done throughout the various parts of the constituency. I verily believe that the initiatives mentioned will improve the quality of life of the residents in Mount Moriah. Madam Speaker, as I mentioned earlier, I have been appointed the Executive Chairman of Public Parks and Public Beaches Authority. Currently, Madam Speaker, the authority is responsible for the maintenance of the public parks and public beaches. The authority was established in 2014 by an act of Parliament. Before this time, Madam Speaker, it was known as Roads and Parks, operating at the remit of the Ministry of Works. Madam Speaker, amongst other things, the functions of the authority are as follows: to control, plan, design, administer, manage, and maintain public parks and public beaches, to conserve the natural beauty and topographic features of the public parks and public beaches, and of course, the maintenance of streets and verges, etc. Madam Speaker, the authority, as it is currently constituted, is mandated to maintain public parks, public roads, and public beaches throughout New Providence. In my role as the Executive Chairman, I will ensure that the public parks, public beaches, and roads and verges are kept cleaned and maintained. Madam Speaker, we know that a clean environment has a direct impact on well-being. Madam Speaker, I will take this role very seriously. It is my understanding that there are approximately 300 staff members, including executive staff, managers, supervisors, groundsmen, and bathroom attendants. Madam Speaker, the authority is an integral part of the people's business. Therefore, I do not take the responsibility lightly. You can expect this member to be thorough and surgical in the execution of his statutory duties. Before I close, Madam Speaker, I would like to congratulate Owen Whitfield on the birth of his son, Owen Whitfield Jr. May he live long and prosper. I would also like to thank again Yellow Elder Gardens, Millennium Gardens, and Stapleton Gardens for believing in me, for trusting in me, and for understanding that my slogan, "A heart for the people," is real. I will do my best to make you proud, and once again, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for Foxhill.
Madam Speaker, during my intervention, the member from Marco City had raised a question about employees in Grand Bahama. I think the minister's state is in a position to supply some answers on that. But I did want to also, before she begins, raise a matter which concerned me yesterday when I was on my feet. And I'd objected to the import of various names into the presentation of the member for Long Island. I'd hoped that he was here when I raised this matter again, because something disturbed me about the presentation yesterday where the expression rogue contractor was used. There is, I understand, a case which is before the courts, which I believe was litigated as recently as Monday. And what concerned me about it was not only on the face of it, a violation of the rule on sub judice, which normally, even though you have the power to overcome it, normally you would not do so. But the case is so active. The expression I used yesterday was poisoning the well. So there are two things that concerned me, because I also got, as a result of his presentation, documents which tend to show that what was asserted is not in fact correct. So you may also have been the matter of misleading the House. So I do want to raise that and ask just on this occasion if you can order for the Hansard to be produced so that we know precisely what he said, and so I'm able to address the matters which have come to my attention. Thank you.
Since he wasn't here.
Right, yes. I had hoped, I was just waiting to see if he was going to come, and I may not be able to be back until the actual vote takes place this evening. But I think it's important enough to raise it. But at this point, I'm asking for the Hansard to be produced so that we know precisely what he said. But certainly on the face of it, when you say rogue contractor, and the magistrate's court case is precisely on that issue, on those two issues, it seems to me that on the face of it is a violation of the rule.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I will undertake to have the Hansard produce those tapings on the next sitting of this House. Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for voting case.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise on the point from the member from Marco City regarding the 52-week program to ensure you that as our minister, that the member for Foxhill has noted, we don't intend to disengage or release low-wage workers. Many of the contracts have ended, and those persons are now on leave. We're seeking to ensure that we review and ensure that proper placement is made for these participants. As I had noted in my contribution, we want to place workers in positions and posts that match their skill sets. And this is what we are doing. We intend to engage all of the workers, but we have to first ensure that we have somewhere to place them.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Member for West Grand Bahama and Bimini.
I wish to move for the suspension of the sitting for the lunch break to return at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Is there a seconder? Seconder. Thank you, Honorable Member. It has been moved and seconded that the business of this House be suspended to 3 p.m. As many are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The business of this House stands suspended to 3 p.m.
All right.